Hello, I'm Hannah from Zoek, the UK's fastest growing new job board. I am delighted to be joined by Fasha Mahjoor today, a leading entrepreneur who, by education, is an architect, yet has been involved in research and manufacturing of scientific products for over 36 years. Thank you very much for joining me on this interview, Fasha.
Pleasure. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. As the founder and CEO of Neoteryx, you were committed to the research, manufacturing and distribution of chromatography products worldwide for over 34 years, until the company was acquired by Danaher Corporation in November 2017. In 2015, you also founded and are CEO of Neoteryx, now a world leader in blood microsampling, which is also playing an increasingly important role in sampling during the coronavirus pandemic. So for our Q&A, I would like to learn a little bit more about your career journey and what it takes to become so successful. Could you please tell me how you started out in the science and pharmaceutical industry?
As you mentioned, I'm an architect by education, and I never thought past the age of 15 I will see the side of science or chemistry in particular. And chemistry found me. I got diverted by accident through a friend of mine, got me involved in something that I never thought. That became my career, that has become my life, and started Pharmaceutical, and then that got sold, and obviously now Neoteryx. And that has become all my career. So architecture is still my passion and my hobby.
Okay, thank you. And what would you say your biggest challenge has been?
In particular, in the earlier years as a startup at Pharmaceutical, was when we were very, very small, convincing, in particular, large public pharma companies or a majority of scientific world, large companies, that a small startup company can produce better products, can provide better customer service, and better overall support to their customers. It took many years and perseverance, and we certainly did overcome it.
Mm-hmm. What would you say your proudest achievement has been?
Career-wise, the proudest achievement was starting up at absolute zero in a garage 36 years ago. It was in 2012 when my previous company, Pharmaceutical, became the world leader in supply, manufacturing, and research of chromatography consumable products, in particular liquid chromatography and gas chromatography columns. So that was a huge accomplishment for me and all my colleagues worldwide.
If you could start over, would you do anything differently?
I'm extremely gratified for the fact that I ended up in a field that, and we produced products that enabled the scientists to provide better products, produce better products for well-being of all living creatures, be it animals, be it humans and plants. So no, I wouldn't. I'm quite satisfied with how my course of my life took place. Yeah.
Okay. And what is the best investment that you have made?
Best investment, I can absolutely confirm. The best investment was in myself, time-wise, and in my companies, time-wise, and financially. Well, initially there was no funds, but as the companies developed, I continuously reinvested in the companies, in research, in production, in better customer service, you bet. And really, it paid massive dividends. And I didn't divert. I never did divert.
What inspires and motivates you to get up each morning?
Trying something new. I can't, many times I go to bed and, or at least in the middle of the night, I think of things, and there have been many times where I can't get to the office fast enough, to the company fast enough to try something different. I think that's rather exciting for most people. Mm-hmm. That's what gets me out of bed.
Okay. What do you find to be true that most other people might disagree with?
Luck. People, you constantly hear that people say, sometimes you have to be lucky to be in the, let's say, right place at the right time. I don't believe that's true. I think those who have the perseverance and have the will and have a goal, they will be in the right place at the right time. Mm-hmm. They create their own luck.
And how would you avoid burnout?
You know, it's so funny. I really honestly think there is no such thing as burnout as long as you're making progress. And I don't mean progress in finance or business. It could progress in anything. You can be a teacher, you can be a scientist, you can be an architect and all that. I think progress is infectious. And when you do that, you just can't stop in anything. You just enjoy doing when you're not progressing, the world becomes boring, and I suppose you call it burnout. Fortunately, I haven't suffered from it as of yet. I hope I never do.
What makes a good fit in the science and pharmaceutical industry?
Clearly, two things is paramount in this case. One is knowledge of the field, and the other are clearly experience. It always helps. It probably with most things, but in particular in world of science and technology. And then the other thing is obviously for any individual who has the drive or the passion to want to try something slightly different, improve processes, and bring something new to the table, really. I mean, that's how technology works. Yeah. You can't remain stagnated.
What key things do you look for and pay attention to when conducting an interview?
Truthfulness to me is absolute paramount. I mean, the drive and passion clearly in someone, it's always nice to see that, because ideally you wish to recruit people and join the team who can actually bring something better to the team, to the company, and rather than somebody who's purely and simply, it's obvious they are just looking for a job just to pay the bills. That has its place too, no, not a problem. But for those who've got a little bit of drive, to push on them, from my point of view, it's a big point.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. And what top tips would you give somebody who is looking to become successful in the scientific innovation?
Whatever you do, you need to evaluate and bring something to the industry that is certainly improves anything that has been done in the past. Unfortunately, while I'm not a scientist, but a million times I have seen scientists attempt to develop something that it could even be better, but it may not have a market at all, or sometimes they don't always look to ensure that it's better in very useful, in many useful purposes. Being fairly innovative and bringing something new is clearly a huge very important issue in the world of science.
Yeah. What are the biggest challenges facing job seekers today in your industry?
Clearly, this pandemic has caused a lot of devastation, but actually, let's say in certain fields, such as pharma, not all the pharmas, but many of the pharmas, clinical research, or certainly hospitals, I would say worldwide, I think jobs are quite, quite available and quite as strong as before, in certain cases, even better than, let's say, 4 or 5 months ago.
What short and long-term changes do you envisage as a result of coronavirus, both to the scientific industry and the wider economy?
To the scientific industry, certainly, I think it's sad to say, but this coronavirus, this pandemic, has clearly awakened the governments, societies, people, and certainly the science and medical field, that they have to come together, be a lot more united, be a lot more sharing, in order to overcome and find solutions and discoveries to diseases such as coronavirus and many, frankly, many other diseases that are still undiscovered. That, without a doubt, will happen. To what extent, I do not know, one cannot predict, but I am positive it will be better. The whole science world is coming together on coronavirus, much more so than ever before. The wider economy, clearly it has caused devastation at this moment in time. I'm not an economist, but I think in the next 1 to 3 years, we will see hopefully changes for better, but clearly our world, our economy, as we know it, will be different. Example, maybe, as we all know, maybe offices, spaces for offices may not be as much sought after as many people will probably, or many employers may wish to have their staff working from home. So things will change. I cannot predict the future. This one is really difficult.
And what impact has coronavirus had on the supply and demand of your blood microsampling kits?
Firstly, supply, you always get a little bit concerned from the supply chain. However, we are fortunate that we manufacture the majority of the raw materials ourselves. We do naturally always rely on some other third party, but fortunately they're all very, very secure, so we don't have any issues. And while we were doing, Neoteryx was doing fine, but in a way, sad to say, but we are very proud that as a company, we are, our business, first of all, has gone up massively, dramatically in the past several months, and we are working literally 16-hour days, 7 days a week, supplying our products to the governments, to laboratories, universities, institutions, for COVID-19 testing. Incidentally, our test kits are nothing like the ones that you see on television for fast and all that. They are done by scientists with very sophisticated instrumentation and processes.
What are your thoughts on how to keep people motivated long term if they are remote working?
Very, very good. Actually, I think being isolated is absolutely miserable. To be quite honest, I like to be with my staff. I like to be in the office, and I do go over at least 3 days a week. I think what the employers should do and or managers should at least have a, let's say, a Zoom meeting with their staff. And not only, you know, of course they should discuss business issues and all that, but at the end of the day, we're all humans. And you know, what do we do in a normal life when we're in a company environment, office environment? We like to have a cup of coffee, tell some jokes, talk about the families and all that. I think in these meetings, it shouldn't be just only about, okay, we've got half an hour, let's just talk about, you know, the issues at hand for business. I think they should leave about 10 minutes and say, you know, tell me about the family. What is the latest, or what about sports or lack thereof these days? And tell some jokes, have some fun. And I think they should throw in humor and let people have a good laugh to bring, and that will bring engagement. It will bring cohesion. It will bring humanity to our lives. We are social animals, and I am very much of a social creature, and I believe it's extremely important that managers, directors are very aware that remaining completely isolated is not that brilliant. So that's my opinion.
Okay, thank you very much. That was great.
Good.